Backstage with Mothership on Solid Rock Radio begins now. Hear the best in new music, artist interviews, stories from the road, and more. You are now backstage, and here's your host, Mothership.
Hey everybody, my guest today is Michael Felker of Convictions. He's going to be spilling all the tea on what's happening with the band. So how's Ohio?
Not too bad. It's actually weirdly very warm. I think the other day it was like in the 60s.
Well, it's in the 60s here in Georgia today, but I understand there's a deep freeze coming for January for everybody.
Yeah, I think I saw something about that. Yeah, it sounds pretty scary.
Yeah. It won't be quite as bad for us as it is for you guys, but
Man, that was actually the motivation for the routing on our tour. We were trying to get out of the winter weather by heading south.
That's pretty smart. So what's going on with the Convictions crew?
Well, we're getting through the holidays right now, gearing up for that tour. We're writing a lot of new music right now. We were actually just in the studio last week, so we've just been working on new stuff, getting this tour booked, firing on all cylinders right now. Really, it's been a really busy season for us.
Yeah, I saw your Spotify thing, like 4 million streams or something like that.
It's been crazy. Yeah, we're kind of coasting on it right now. We're really excited with how the reception's been with the new record. So we're like, well, instead of sitting around for a couple of years, let's just get right back to it. So we've been working.
Yeah, well, the last time we talked, you had just dropped a surprise on us, Sleeping Lotus, which has been huge for you guys. And then you premiered a little bit of the Four Horsemen for us live on the show. So that album is out now and everything. So now all the secrets can come out. So we need to talk a little bit about that. That was like 9 months ago, I think. Been that long?
Really?
Yeah. I thought it was sooner than that, but it wasn't.
Wow. That's scary. Yeah, the older you get, the faster time moves. I'm really starting to feel that.
Yeah, well, I definitely feel that. Okay, so there's a couple of questions that I need to ask from the previous interview. Number one, did you get a new car or get your car fixed? Because that was an issue.
Yeah, that makes so much sense with Sleeping Lotus. Yeah, we shot that video, and the whole video I'm stressed because I was carless at the time. Yes, I definitely got a new car. I got an SUV. Things have been good so far. So
nice.
Knock on wood.
All right. So that was one question I had. Then the whole thing was about getting your dad involved. Oh my gosh, that was hilarious.
Long time coming.
Yeah. Tell him a little bit about that.
Yeah, well, it was kind of a funny experience because I've been in a band since I was really young, and throughout my late teenage, early 20s, I was just getting heckled by my dad frequently, hey, are you gonna get a real job? Are you gonna, this, that, the other, go back to school? And I just remember thinking what would be a super funny music video, because we haven't really done a funny music video. And I don't know what where I got the idea, but I was what if my dad replaced me in the band, and we've kind of flipped the script, because sometimes he'll heckle me for doing music sometimes. I mean, he fully supports me, but yeah, it's just this funny idea. And my dad is super charismatic. I used to work with him at FedEx, and there's hundreds and hundreds of employees at this facility. And it's he knows everybody. He's a celebrity there, or was, I guess. He just retired. But yeah, I was thinking my dad would probably love this, because he's got so much charisma. He was in another life he could have been a front man. So it was just kind of funny to give him that shot.
Yeah, well, the floating dad head on top of your body was the icing on the cake for me. Oh, and the lawnmower bit.
That's a real lawnmower, real wheelie. Yep, that's all legit. It's a funny video. We can do whatever we want. So yeah,
I guess we should tell people which video it is so they can go look at it now that we're talking about it.
Yeah, the Coastal Glow.
The Coastal Glow. You guys go check out that video. It's hilarious.
Check that out.
A couple other things have happened. You went to Mexico. Was that a festival?
Yeah, Exudo Fest.
Yeah, how was that?
That was wild. It was kind of a last minute thing too. I was on a cruise, and I had the poorest reception on this cruise. It's a cruise ship, so you're in the middle of the ocean. So like I would get like a few text messages like here and there, like it was really spotty, and it was Zach, our drummer, like negotiating this deal, and we had like a month to prep for it, which I was out on vacation. Like it was just like such a weird like time for us, and yeah, it was just like this kind of last minute thing, and we weren't really sure what we were getting ourselves into. I was familiar with the festival. I've been like kind of had my eye on it for a while, but yeah, we never played Mexico, didn't know what we were getting into, and it was a little rocky at first, but once we like got all settled in, like it was actually a really incredible experience. Like we had an awesome time. We played 2 shows, back to back days. It was our first time ever having like pyro. It was the full 9. It was a really cool
How
event.
Exciting. Yeah. And then Aftershock. Tell me about that.
Again, another last minute thing. We've been working with our management, like trying to put together some North Show opportunities, and these Danny Wimmer festivals have been like kind of on our radar for a while. Like we haven't gotten to play one yet, and they were doing like these fan polls, have your fans tag the event, and you may be considered for it. So we were trying that out, and we must have caught somebody's attention. We found out, I think within like I think we only had, I think it was like a month or so to like prepare for it. But yeah, we got a call, and it was our first Danny Wimmer Fest, and it was a full on roller coaster. We flew out the day before. We had like a 12-hour window to like check out the festival, because it's like a multi-day thing. Mm-hmm. And we got in our first night there, and I got to see Slipknot, which has been a huge bucket list for me. Ever since I was a kid, I've been wanting to like play a show with them, so I finally got to check that off my bucket list. But yeah, it was just a total culture shock. Like we've never really been to any of those festivals, and yeah, it was just massive, and it was really cool culture. Like we had a really good time.
Yeah, I bet that gave you a fever for some humongous crowds. I mean, you've played some pretty big crowds before, and the ones with ABR weren't too shabby either when you filled in for Jake.
Yeah. And we did their Christmas Burns Red Fest, which is so much fun. There was a lot of people at that too, so.
I wanted to go to that really bad. Maybe one day. I've seen ABR do some of their Christmas music at some shows, but I've never been to the big one.
Oh yeah, no, it's the real deal. You should try. It's super fun.
Oh, and by the way, my last interview of 2024 was Jake.
I saw that.
I was so excited.
That's awesome.
It was the first time I'd ever actually just one-on-one talked to him, so it was really nice.
That's awesome.
Before we started our interview, I mentioned you, and he said you were a great guy.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So Jake was on my bucket list, and since we've been talking about bucket lists, what's next on yours?
I want to go back to Germany. That's something I've been thinking a lot about, because we just had my birthday, and me and a big group of friends, we went to, girlfriend took us out to German like bratwurst and sauerkraut restaurant. I think it's called the Hofer House. I have a lot of German heritage, so we had like this whole German themed birthday, and it was so much fun. And I'm trying to tell everybody, like, this is pretty good, but like over there, so yeah, that'll be my bucket list for.
Okay. Do you want to go back to travel, or you want to go back and do shows?
Well, I always want to do shows, but yeah, if we could go abroad again, I think that'd be really fun. There's still a lot of places I haven't been. Like we've never done Australia, we've never done Brazil. I don't want to spoil anything, but we've been peeking around at other countries.
All right, other countries. Time to throw those offers out there.
Come get us.
Yeah. I think we're all caught up from where we left off last interview. Fear of God. Tell me about the album.
Yeah, it's hard to know where to start. I mean, the release was really cool. We did our rollout campaign, which you were a part of. And we did a hometown album release show, which like was super fun. And then immediately the night, I want to say, or no, it was the week after, we flew out to Pomona to support Holy Name for Run Against Traffic, this big event they put together to, spread awareness, human trafficking. And we were really happy to be a part of that. There was some really incredible bands a part of it. That was the day of our release. It was August 2nd. And it was such a crazy time for our band. We didn't have any representation at the time. We were completely independent. And this was a show where we met our new agent and new manager. It was my first time meeting some of the guys in Holy Name. I had featured on one of their songs. And they invited me up to perform a song that I collaborated with them on, called They See. Crazy commotion. It was such an incredible show.
I love those Holy Name guys.
Those guys are incredible. Like I grew up, like I remember in high school, I had a Sleeping Giant poster in my room. So like being able to brush shoulders with those guys is so trippy to me.
Absolutely. I know what you're talking about. I did not have on my bingo card to have breakfast with Tommy Green and Joe Holt in Germany at Loud and Proud, but it happened. Sometimes life is wild. So that was a lot happening at once for y'all.
Yeah, our album came out. It was just like such a cool way to like pivot into the new chapter, I guess, because we met our whole new team. And there's a really cool band there that put us up, Doulos. They're like a band out there from California, and they put us up, took care of us. So like it was just like a really cool way to like kickstart our record. I feel like we've really kind of like branched out a lot more, and we're starting to like get more opportunities. And yeah, it's just been a really great release. I'm really pumped for it.
Let's get to the song offerings on this album. I'd say for me, Sleeping Lotus is the first thing that comes to my mind. What about for you?
Yeah, it was the first single we rolled out. I felt pretty good about like putting that like first, just because I felt like it kind of rounded out like the sound of the record.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, maybe this isn't my specialty. I felt like we put out a lot of singles. The last song was like our standalone track, the Fear of God, like the title track. So maybe that, but yeah, I would say sonically at least, like the sound of that song, I feel like kind of rounds out the record. Like you can kind of get a feel for who we are and what we're going to sound like.
And speaking of round, that reminds me, the end and beginning of the album kind of loops back around to itself, right?
Oh, you caught that. Yeah, the bookends for the first song and the last song.
Yeah. So explain that properly, because that sounded ridiculous the way I said it.
No, I honestly don't even really think about it too much. But yeah, I remember like when we wrote the last song, I had to fix some of the lyrics because when you listen to the intro track, The End Is Nigh, it's kind of like finishing off the tail end of the record. I'm positive we aren't the first band to do this, but the idea would be you can listen to the record on a loop.
One way to explain it would be like how some reels on social media are just seamlessly in a continuous loop. The beginning and the end meet up.
Yeah.
I kind of think a lot of the old school albums were that way, but very intentional track placements.
That's a good, yeah, we should, yeah. Now I'm going to have to dig through my vinyls. I mean, we kind of operate like that still, because like vinyls are probably more popular than ever, maybe. Or at least like people are so caught up on like collecting certain variants and exclusives and stuff. But we only have like so much time that we can put on each side.
Right.
And, like when we're as a band putting together our track listing, like some people might feel more passionately about putting certain songs where they go, and like it's like a movie, you want to kind of have like the experience with like ebb and flows, lulls and stuff. Yeah, that's the super nerdy stuff. I feel like I don't get to talk about that much.
I just think it's kind of a lost art these days because of the way everything's so track driven. Get out those singles.
Yeah, we're definitely in that spot as a band where we have to keep thinking about the next thing, like I was mentioning earlier.
Mm-hmm.
And I think just the way that media is consumed, not just music, like even streaming services, everyone's always talking about the next show or the next season or whatever. So you have to like constantly put out singles or music to compete, I guess.
Yeah. A lot of these singles on this album were a lot of personal stories. And I know you pull from like testimonies of other people and your own lives and that sort of thing. Talk a little bit about Hurts Like Hell.
Yeah, so that song Zach wrote. I helped a little, but he had been sitting with that one for a while, and it's kind of hard to talk about because he and I sat together 3 years ago now, maybe, when like we were starting to write music. I had asked him like, hey, is this something you'd want to talk about? Zach's father had passed away, his father Chris. He was carrying around a lot of grief and pain, and something that we do in our band, we talk about a lot of that stuff in our music. And I remember approaching him asking like, hey, is this something you'd want to do? And he gave it some thought and decided to hold off on it. And of course, I completely respect that. I love him for that. When it came time to do this record, we kind of circled back to it, and I could tell he had to think about it a lot, and he kind of sat with it for a bit and then prepared this whole song for us. And I think at the time he was out in Colorado, so we're kind of across the country, and he shares his song and the message, and we were in the studio putting it together, and it's such a emotional song. Like, he put so much into that, and it wasn't just like a fly by night, here's a song, whatever. It was like years in the making, and he put his heart and soul into that. And yeah, I think it was really effective. We've had a lot of people share their experience with grief and the loss of a loved one, and I'm so proud of him. Like, it's like, I can't imagine how hard that was for him, and to see people at our shows come up with them, hey Zach, can I share something with you? It's almost like I can kind of see it coming. He really takes it in stride, and I've seen from a distance some of these conversations, and that's really heavy. But yeah, I feel like he'd probably be a better person to answer that. But from my perspective, like, just seeing the strength that he's had to muster up to face this is really inspiring. And I think the music video is really effective too, just as it's more or less like a lyric video, but you can see him walking to where his father's resting, and yeah, it's real.
It's very powerful. It's an amazing song, and like you said, the video, whew,
yeah,
quite emotional.
Yeah, most definitely.
Is there another song you'd like to share the story behind?
There's a song in there I haven't really talked too much about publicly. It's called Swan Song, and it's a sequel to our most popular song to date, The Price of Grace. Story of a fan of ours who lost his best friend to a suicide. We knew him, shared his 5 stages of grief through the song Price of Grace. And that song has been so impactful and meaningful for us as a band. I reapproached him before writing this record and asked if he wanted to kind of share that light on the end of the tunnel, like, where's he at now? And it was another difficult song to write, because he basically said, like, he's still struggling a lot, and we were challenged as a Christian artist. You want to always kind of spin it in a positive light, or at least you feel pressured to. But he was basically saying, like, no, like, it's not really getting much better. And I feel like that's more of a way to connect to people, just so they can see, like, they're not alone, and if they're still feeling pain, and that there's not shame in that. And I mean, he is doing well, but yeah, it's basically share something real. I guess lean in more just like the reality of it, and hoping that people will connect on that.
So you're saying it's real life?
Yeah, that's kind of been a big thing for us. Like, we want to try and contribute something fresh and honest with our music, and not just fall into the niche, like, everything's okay because we have God is good. Of course, that's true, but there's people that experience real trauma and real pain and real life experiences that may make them question their beliefs, or the meaning of what they're going through. And as a Christian, like, I want to try and bridge that gap and meet people at eye level, and basically allow people to feel seen, and just as that is. But Swan Song is kind of one of those, like, honest takes, I guess, where it's just like, hey, this is real. Like, yeah, this really is painful, and people do still struggle, and that's okay.
Yeah. Things in your head, but you can't always grasp them with your heart,
Mm-hmm.
Tell me about Buried in Thorns. I'm interested in that one.
Yeah, this is I've kind of set myself up for this. A difficult song to talk about. It's mostly centered around domestic abuse, and it's a true story. My girlfriend, she shared her experience growing up with an abusive father, and the original or demo title, I guess, was like Safe House, and the idea was feeling like almost like you have to hide, or you have to go to a certain place to, like, escape the reality as a child. And so when I sat with her and we talked about it, I kind of wanted to write it from, like, her eyes as a child and what she saw. And so there's, like, there's a few moments in the song where like I'm not really too concerned with addressing certain things like in a positive light. Like there's a moment in the song where it's just full on anger and wrath, almost name calling. And I felt like that would be more honest and effective than just trying to, glaze over something as heavy as this. So yeah, I guess it was written to not just share a story, but to spread awareness on the subject and also to bring people together on it. And this might not be a story you would hear at a church or something. And that's another opportunity we have as a Christian band.
That one's very heavy.
Yeah, that was very challenging.
Do you want to talk about the Hail Mary collapse?
Yeah, that's a cool one.
Okay.
Like, that's a cool song about abuse. No, it's like we write these heavy songs and it's like I want to be upbeat and like lively in these interviews, but I'm like, here we go. Like, let's go and do this. This was a song that I wrote with the band Confessions of a Traitor. Their vocalist Steve and I, we really hit it off. We're great friends. We still talk to these guys on a daily basis. We have like our international group chat WhatsApp that we communicate on. But it was the first day of our tour, first time they came over to the U.S. to support us. We had lent them our van, and I was so paranoid that they were going to wreck our van because they drive on the other side of the road. We had two vans. So they took off with the van and trailer, and then I just had our van with Confession of a Traitor, all these British dudes. And I'm asking every kind of, British question. Oh, like, what's your favorite Harry Potter? And say water bottle. And I was just hazing them, basically. It was so stupid. But, we're kind of getting to know each other. And then we started talking about our faith and our experience with music and the subculture of like Christian metalcore, which is so small. What's it like over there for you guys? Do you even have a scene? Is this a thing? Do you guys reach a secular audience with your music? Like, what is it like over there? And Steve had opened up to us about like Catholicism is like everything there. And his whole family, they're Irish and they grew up in the church and they had gone through some really terrible hardships with abuse within the church. And I opened up to him about, I guess in Western culture, we'll talk a lot about like church hurt. That's like a trending thing you hear a lot about. So we were kind of bonding over that and navigating this discussion, I guess. And then the subject of writing a new song, because he had been talking about wanting inspiration and looking for new topics to talk about in their next record. And then that's kind of where I poked the bear and was like, well, why don't you talk about that? Like, we just talked about this really heavy thing for like the last couple hours. And it took some time. Like he wanted to think it over, and I respect him for that. And then he ended up inviting me on the song. So we bounced ideas back for quite a while on that. And I don't want to get too much off subject, but that day was crazy. When I was driving that van, I was getting text messages from my band in the separate van and trailer, and it was videos of the review mirror of our trailer basically exploding because like the fender flew off, the tires popped, leaf spring broke, axle dropped, maybe not the axle, but like it was just catastrophe. My whole band is like laughing about it because it was so bad. They're like, this is just the most ridiculous thing. They're filming it and they're texting it to me while I'm driving, and I'm opening it and I'm hearing this very heavy emotional discussion about abuse and things like that. And I'm looking at my phone driving, hearing the story, and I'm seeing my van and trailer like just exploding
behind
on the highway.
You.
And I'm just like, oh my gosh, this is terrible. Oh my gosh, this is terrible. And I'm like, like it was just the worst experience. Yeah, that was such a bad way to start a tour.
Are you sure
anyway,
that wasn't a fever dream?
it was a lot. But flash forward, they released a song. That song had so much backlash because people didn't take the time to like read the lyrics or like to understand what it was that they were talking about. They thought it was like a jab at the Catholic Church and a lot of ugly emails and messages. But I thought Steve, Confession of a Traitor singer, I thought he handled it really well and addressed concerns people had. But from what I know, that's been like one of their more popular songs, and they're really proud of it. So I was happy to be a part of it.
Amazing. You have your first tour of 2025.
Yes, we do. Southern Exposure Tour.
With a little swamp puppy on your flyer.
Hey, like that?
Yeah.
We are doing everything we can to get out of this cold weather on the way, I guess. We're going to be supporting a band called Scary Kids Scaring Kids, which we just met. We played with them maybe a little more than a month ago. We did 2 dates with them in Colorado, which were incredible. And they liked us so much, they're inviting us back out, play with them in Florida. So we basically like set up like a tour around it.
Nice. Okay. So Heal the Hurt is also going to be at some of those dates.
Yeah, Trevor's coming.
I noticed that you updated your flyer and you've added a date at Murray Hill.
We're going to do Jacksonville.
Yep. So if y'all saw the flyer originally, it did not have Jacksonville. So if you have that flyer, you have the old one. Unfortunately, I can't make that show, though.
Aren't you in Atlanta?
I am in Atlanta, but I would have been tempted to do both dates. But I'll be flying home from Germany that day.
Oh, wow.
I get home on the 3rd at like 5 or 6 in the evening, and y'all are going to be in Atlanta the next night.
I would be very tired, especially coming home from Germany.
Yeah.
But if you decide to rough it out, we'll make sure we save you a spot.
Dan's already said, let's go. And I'm like, okay.
Heck yeah. Are you going to do the banana pudding again?
If I'm conscious.
Beggars can't be choosers.
Okay. But for sure, I will have you a bag of goodies.
Okay. Well, no pressure.
All right. But I'll try. Okay. So the tour. So you're hitting North Carolina, South Carolina, Florida, Georgia, Tennessee, and Kentucky. January 30th through February 6th. Unfortunately, you're not making everybody in the South happy.
Yeah. Nope. This is just to kind of get out of the cold weather and to support Scary Kids. I wish we were doing more. But we're planning some stuff for the future. So hopefully we can try and make everybody happy.
Yeah. Is Scary Kids, are they going to be in Atlanta too?
Just Florida. They're doing Winter Park and Tampa.
Yeah. Okay. I see it now.
Yeah. Just for the weekend there.
Yeah. I don't think I've ever seen them before.
They're fun. They've been around for a long time. I used to listen to them in high school, actually. And they're touring the record that I listened to back then. So it's awesome. I'm like, heck yeah, this is good.
What can we expect on this run?
We got lights. We got new lights. That's pretty cool.
Oh, that's cool.
Pat, our guitar player, he's been like mad scientist in his studio, like putting together all these lights. And it's funny, there was like this Black Friday deal, all these shocker panel strobe things. They're not cheap. Got them on sale, and then we get them, and they're completely different lights. We ended up falling in love with these different lights, but we decided to get more. So yeah, we're gonna try and beef up our production a little bit and play some new songs. I'm really looking forward to it. I'm really excited too for Jacksonville. You just mentioned that theater is really fun. We played it not long ago, and we had a really good experience there.
The whole group of people down there, they're great.
Yeah,
I'm glad to see y'all were able to get that date.
We like to stay busy out there.
Down there in Gatorland near the Okefenokee.
What? Okanoma?
Okefenokee Swamp.
Okefenokee?
That's it. You got it. It sounds
like you made that up.
It would be a Native American Indian name.
Oh, you're teaching me a lot. I didn't know. A lot of gators?
A lot of gators.
Ooh, I want to go.
If you seriously want to see some gators, I'd go to the St. Augustine Alligator Farm. That's not too far from Jacksonville.
Really?
Yeah.
We kind of have to. I mean, there's a gator on the tour flyer. I feel like we have to.
Right? You have to have your picture made with one, right? Make it happen, Mike. I need pictures. Okay. Southeast Coast fans, get your tickets as soon as possible for this Southern Exposure Tour with Convictions, Heal the Hurt, Scary Kids, Scaring Kids. More info on Conviction's social media page or the landing page of Solid Rock Radio for this interview. Thank you for your time and the interview.
Of course.
Appreciate you so much. And I can't wait to see you at the show.
Yeah, I'm excited. See you soon.
All right. Good night.
All right, bye.
Thank you for listening. Stay tuned for more great music. And don't forget to check out my blog page on the Solid Rock Radio website for my guests' official social media links. And hey, did you know you can listen to all Backstage with Mothership interviews on your phone through the Solid Rock Radio app or on all major podcast platforms? Back episodes are also available on YouTube and TikTok. Have a wonderful week, and let's be kind to one another.